Syracuse Orange women's basketball wake-up call with Dan Tortora is live on location. We are here with Coach Q every single month, starting today officially on December 15th. We will be here every month during the season here, so you'll see us in January, February, and March, and who knows, if there's more life, maybe you'll see us after that. So when you come in the door, you'll see the wake-up call with Dan Tortora banner. All the information is there. Show is live Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on wakeupcalldt.com. This gentleman to my right is with me every Wednesday during Wake Up Call at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, giving us an update on the team, the season, recruiting, and so much more. Coach Q, we appreciate you being here. I know this is your first experience at the Press Room Pub, and I know that we are awaiting that food right now, so we're looking forward to that.
There's no question. It was part of the lure. You know, you said the wings were good, the food was good, so if I can spend an hour here, spending time with my man Dan and eat some great food, we can do this.
I feel bad that I didn't talk to you about the salt and pepper wings though before.
Sorry, this is okay. I'll eat some of yours and we'll be good. Don't worry about it.
Okay. See, I got them. They had a buffet here before, and I thought that they were just dry because they had the buffalo sauce next to them. So I thought I was just taking some dry wings. I don't want to dunk them in the sauce. I went in the car after Rob Drummond and I were doing a pregame for Syracuse football. I hop in the car. I got the wings with me. I'm like, whatever, they're dry wings, but I'm hungry. Had no idea the sneaky, shocking surprise that they were salt and pepper wings. So Frank does a good job here.
Listen, anything with the wings normally is you got a chance. So I eat wings. I'll do salt and pepper. I'll do dry rub. I'll do sauce. So I'm excited. You get me pumped up.
Let me ask you this though: do you cook when you're at home?
Seldom. Very, very seldom. I cook.
Can you cook?
Yeah, I can cook. I had to cook to survive at some point in my life, right? But yeah. I cook a little bit. I'm not too fancy, but I can cook the stuff that I like to eat, and that's important.
When you were in college, was it peanut butter and ramen for you? I mean, was it that type of? See, I remember not having money in college to the point where I put peanut butter on my hand and just took it off my hand. You just spoon it out, you take it off there. Like, I didn't even have bread. It was peanut butter and ramen, and somehow I lost 13 pounds on the freshman 15, so I guess peanut butter and ramen works.
There's no question. I can tell you, when you that is true. That definitely works when that's all you eat.
Yeah.
Being playing in college, and you tend to get the perks of having some meals catered here and there. So I ate pretty good in college. I must admit that. And I didn't miss any meals in college. I did pretty good in college.
Bring me back to your college days, and for everybody that doesn't know, just where you went and what the experience was like for you.
St. Mary's College of Maryland, the greatest experience I could have ever had in college. And I really mean that. I went to a small school. I was able to really enjoy being a student athlete. Met a lot of good friends. Still have a lot of friends to this day that are very close to me. My college roommates, very close, and they really think they're basketball coaches, but they're not. They critique my games. They give me advice, which wasn't really bad advice. But at the end of the day, they're into it, and they're telling me what I should be doing and who I should be playing and why is she playing so much and why did I call this, and I just gently get in the red button. I think I can keep it moving. But they think they know what they're talking about. But
so do you at least say that you're going through a tunnel or you're on a plane or just something dropped out or Verizon's having issues or so? Do you when they start giving you advice, do you just hit that red button or do you go, oh wait, Bob, I can't hear you, Bob, and then hang up?
I just use it really simple. I'm out, man. Click.
So they try to give you the advice. Has any non-basketball, non-coach given you some good advice?
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. I can remember one time very clearly. I was in Shopping Town Mall. I was going to there trying to, this is probably about 5-6 years ago now. I was going there to pick up an item, and I had this young lady come to me and said, have you ever thought about subbing a little more? And this is kind of how I started to really play my roster. I was a 7 and 8 player rotation and started going a little bit deeper in the bench, and they would question a certain player to get some more minutes. I started playing them, and I'm playing 9, 10 players. And so I guess a lot of credit has to go to her.
See, that's interesting that you did that. That you said, hey, how are you? So we got Joe Corley in the house from West Genesee football team. Had an awesome season this season. Big shout out to West Genny and the Wildcats. You had a good season this season. I'm going to give you credit. You did. You did a good job. You did a good job.
You're moving around, so that's positive. I mean, you can tell the story. So you had a good season.
Yeah, you had a good season. Went to the Section 3 championship game. So nothing but respect for Joe Corley and West Genny. So you said that somebody came up to you and said, hey, why aren't you playing more of the roster, giving it a chance? I'm going to venture to say that in Jim Boeheim's 4+ decades, many people have said, hey, how about you play more of that roster? But they didn't get the same response that they got from Coach Q.
Well, I can tell you this right now. He's done it at a high level for such a long time.
Yes.
And he probably doesn't need our advice. I mean, he finds a way when there is no way. So one thing that I always tell everyone who comes to me and talks about Coach Boeheim, I tell him he's going to find a way to get it done. And when it really counts and there's big games, he's going to win them.
So when you're in the same building and you're building up this program, he's worked with this program for over 4 decades at Syracuse men's basketball. You have built up this women's basketball team in our recent rich history. What's it like, because I know your office is right next door to his. You're overseeing one end of the court at the Mello Center. He's overseeing the other end. So just what life is like up there.
Well, the good thing about it is you get a coach's clinic from a Hall of Fame coach every day. You can look down on that floor and watch the best of the business. Run a practice, run games, manage personnel every day. And what more can you ask for but to have one of the best in the business that you have access to on a daily basis and to watch how they operate? You can't have a better situation than that.
Now, I know that you give a lot of credit to your assistants. I know you give credit to Cedric, you give credit to the team and whatnot, but you are willing to literally go anywhere to go get a player. And you don't call the player or email the player. You fly out to the player. I believe one time that you and I were conversing, you were like, yeah, I got to go out to, it was like Istanbul or something ridiculous. Yeah, I got to be out in Istanbul this week. I was just in England. I go to Istanbul, and I'm gonna go out to China. I mean, you're everywhere, all over the place, trying to find these diamonds in the rough. Bring me into your world, because when I'm sitting on my couch watching Netflix, you're in Turkey. So bring me into that.
Well, our job and our goal is to sign the best players in the country and in the world. And our reach is so far that it would not be very smart for us not to take advantage of our reach. And we've been able to really travel the globe and get some of the top players in the world to come play for us. On our roster right now, we have 5 top 25 players internationally on our roster right now. And when you can sign quality athletes in different parts of the world, different parts of the country here in the U.S., you have to do that because it's all about your players, it's all about your talent. And once you get talent, you try to find a way to get them to play together. And for us, we just want to get the best players we can get and get them to come in and play hard as they can play.
And when you go out and you get those players, I want to take a look at this here for a second and just what you have here when we look at the roster that you have set up. Your players are from all over. So we're looking at different play. I mean, we're seeing, obviously within the States, but we're seeing France, we're seeing Strasbourg, France, we're seeing Paris, France, we're seeing the Czech Republic. We're also seeing, different places, Latvia,
Canada,
and then we're seeing Washington, Syracuse, New York, Binghamton, New York, Massachusetts. I mean, when you have Czech Republic,
Australia,
I mean, when you have all of that going on, I mean, how crazy is that for you to put together when you have different countries, then a little bit in Central New York, and then a little bit of the rest of the country?
Well, it's about having hardworking and loyal assistants because they're so important to finding the talent and for lack of a better word, prioritizing where we go. And that's what's been so good for us. We've been able to get involved with some great talent and make them priorities and be able to land most of our players. You know, we haven't missed much on players that we know that we needed to be successful. So this is a lot about Tammy and Otten.
Is there ever a learning curve of communication that you have to have when they first come in?
It always is. Everyone's different. Everyone learns differently, and you have to really find a way to coach your team, to get your system in, and to get them to understand it. Some are visual learners. Some need to be on the floor and physically do it all the time. But at the end of the day, it's your responsibility as the head coach to try to get a system in place that's going to fit your team, but also get a communication style in place that they can understand.
Here with Coach Q, Syracuse Orange, women's basketball head coach, hanging out with us here at the Press Room Pub. We're live on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, and we are here with you, obviously, inside of the press room. We spoke about Oregon. You had the ACC Big Ten Challenge against Minnesota. Another close game, 4 points was all the separation was, 72-68. Bring me into this game against Minnesota. You only have 2 losses this season, and they're by 4 or less.
Minnesota's a great team. They returned a lot of talent. Lindsay Wellens, their new coach, she's doing a really good job getting them to play hard. And just one of those things where, you know, I think people look at our team and look at our success. It's all about our players. When they play hard, they get after it. But at the end of the day, we are a very young team. You know, we have our starters are young, our bench is young. So we're still trying to kind of figure this thing out. But because we're talented, we're able to win some games. And I think that Minnesota kind of end of our games, some of our inexperience caught up with us. And there's a few adjustments that I probably should have made a little earlier into the fourth quarter that I didn't make. So we're very much aware of what we need to do when we win basketball games. And we'll continue to do things that we know that we do well, continue to do things that make us successful.
You defeated team, you know, you looked at, you know, DePaul being ranked in the top 16 at the time that you played them. You look at Texas A&M as well, ranked in the top 20, and then you look how closely you played against Oregon and Minnesota. Just what that says, I mean, these are outside of your conference. These are games against teams that you could see in the NCAA tournament. So to do what you've done against the teams that you played against in the top 25, in your losses, like I said, 4 points or less, and then you have victories on the other side of it, just what it says about how ready this team was, how prepared this team was to go into this season, because you've already been challenged. You're not playing any cupcakes by any stretch of the imagination.
And they're all on the road. So it says a lot about our talent and our fight as a team. Because I can tell you, when you're on the road and you're playing these games on the road, it's really tough. You're in tough environments. You're in places that you're not very unfamiliar with, and you're playing against WNBA and Olympians and things of that nature. So you have to really get out there and play at a high level on the road in unfamiliar environments. And our team is doing a massive job of doing that.
And you had the opportunity, after losing to Oregon, you went on a winning streak. After losing against Minnesota, you've done it again. You were home against Towson, home against Maryland Eastern Shore, scored almost 100 points in both of those games. Just what you could say about the bounce back and how your team has not allowed a loss to become 2 or 3 or 5 in a row, that this team has had the mentality and the fortitude and the wherewithal and the toughness to say, okay, that didn't feel good. Let's get back on the right side of things.
Well, our players have done a very good job of refocusing right away. And that's what it's about. It's about you let that go and refocus. And they've done that. They really bounced back at a really high level after all of our losses. And we're just very happy with the maturity of our roster and how hard they want to play their next time out. So it says a lot about our team.
We look at the St. Pete shootout that we spoke about. You have Niagara as well. That's going to be an early game. We had spoken about the importance of this on our segment before, is that you're winning against these ranked teams on the road. You're playing ranked teams tough on the road. You're winning things like the Cancun Challenge on a neutral court in a neutral area, 3 games in a row. So you're playing back to back to back. You're winning these challenges. You're winning in overtime. You're beating ranked teams when you're away from home. You're playing morning games. This is all NCAA tournament stuff. You're getting that style of play early on in your season. Just the importance of that, the importance of not only winning those games, but putting yourself in a position where you have to play early, late, midday, back to back to back.
It's critical because that's how it is in the NCAA tournament. You can be in the West Coast and it's going to be a different time zone. You can be playing at home and be in the same situation. So you just never know from time to time, from year to year, from day to day in this tournament when you're going to play and what coast, what region, what team. So we did a very good job of mixing up our schedule to play a little bit of everyone and different styles of play.
Now we look at the rest of the schedule we have coming up here. You play Niagara, and then you're on the road, neutral court for the St. Pete Shootout in St. Petersburg. So you'll have 4 games away from home. You have the St. Pete Shootout, Duquesne, Central Florida. Then you're at Clemson to start ACC play, at Virginia Tech. Then you're at Pittsburgh and at Georgia Tech after being home against North Carolina. So 6 of the next 7 games are going to be away from Syracuse. Bring me into that.
Well, that's a great opportunity to get some good wins on the road. When you go into the NCAA tournament play, you look at road wins as almost a point and a half. So you want to make sure you take care of those road wins. As many of those you can get, it helps your RPI, it helps you for postseason play.
And when you look at the scheduling, when you are away from home so much, it does balance itself out eventually. You have a 5-game home stint between February 10th and February 25th, where you'll face Boston College, NC State, Wake Forest, Pitt, and Notre Dame. You know what it's like to be on the road. You know what it's like to be challenged. You're going to have another challenge again with 6 out of 7 away from home. But in February, in the thick of things, right before the ACC tournament, you'll be at home for 5 in a row.
That's great. You want to try to get those games and run those 5 games off because you're going to need them going into postseason play. So I think that our schedule checks out pretty good. Obviously, we're on the road a lot early, but at the end of the day, you have to play the games whether they're home or away. So we're looking forward to the challenge of playing the best conference in the country.
I want to make mention that not only is this day special because it's the first time that you and I are out publicly doing a live show together somewhere on location, and this being the Press Room Pub, and happy to be at the Press Room, 220 Harrow Place in Syracuse, New York, minutes from the Carrier Dome and from Syracuse University. But it's also a meaningful day because Saturday, December 15th, today, is an honor to my grandmother. My grandmother was born on December 15th.
Wow.
She was born on 12/15/16. She saw, I told her almost every war except for like the Civil War. She saw pretty much everything. So she lived to be 109 days.
Wow.
So she has been away from us since 2017 on June 24th, but never forgotten and never far away from my heart. And I do believe in the spirit of people. So I wanted to let you know that this is a marquee day for us in our history of knowing each other, but we're also unveiling this on the day that my grandmother celebrates her birthday.
What a blessing, 100 years. I mean, if you can do anything 100 times over, I mean, you probably mastered it. So she had to do something right to live that long and live a great life.
Absolutely. Now, Coach, I want to get away from basketball for a second. There's a thing on my show that I call rapid fire. Now, I've seen other people use this, but I've laid claim to this of like almost 10 years ago. So I'm going to wait for my copyright and my royalties to come in the mail. But rapid fire is when we step away from the sports world, and I put you on the hot seat. I can ask you a question about anything.
Okay.
But I'm going to do something. You're going to tell me if this ever been done to you before. You're always asked the questions. Has a media member, any journalist, any TV person, any radio personality, have they ever let you flip the script and put them on the hot seat and ask them the questions?
I've had it happen one time, but it wasn't planned. I just took the press conference over.
Okay.
I wasn't in a good place. So
nobody. So was that kind of paralleling when Jim Boeheim fought with the microphone, or was it as?
No, nothing parallels that.
Nothing parallels that. Okay. So you've never had a broadcaster or media person purposely say, you can ask me questions?
No.
So we're about to experience this together.
No problem.
All right, cool. So I'm going to ask you questions first. Do you want to go back and forth 1-on-1, or do you want me to ask you a few, you ask me a few? What do you want to do?
No, we can go back and forth.
All right, we'll go back and forth. My first rapid-fire question to Coach Q, Syracuse Orange women's basketball, is what is one thing you think you can achieve on your bucket list within the next year?
the next year, probably to visit Dubai. That's one thing that I really want to do. I want to visit Dubai, so hopefully we can get that accomplished next year.
So to visit Dubai. So I'm guessing that you're going to find some basketball players in Dubai.
I don't know about that, but I want to get there and get some relaxation and enjoy it. How about that?
Fair enough. All right. You go ahead with mine.
Rain or snow?
Snow, for sure. Because rain makes you wet, but snow you can play in. And I will say this to all Central New Yorkers about
Never
this.
heard that before.
It's because you've never been around somebody like me before.
But I like it. I like it.
Right. Okay. I'm just telling you, you got a best friend list, and I'm going to climb that list by the time we're done with things. So, but I'm telling you with utter certainty here, snow is the only storm you can play in. Can't play in a hurricane. Can't play in a tornado. Can't play in an earthquake. But to the people of Central and Upstate New York, you can hate the snow, loathe the cold, but you can actually play in it after it happens.
That's very true.
So take it for what it's worth. All right, Q, let me see here. If you could, you got to pick one of these. You got to tell me why. I'm going to make you a comedian or I'm going to make you a singer. What do I make you and why?
Wow. You have to make me a comedian because a comedian is playing off the crowds.
Okay.
A comedian is sometimes scripted, but more importantly, a lot of being a comedian is probably being spontaneous. So I would say probably a comedian.
Okay.
All right. Let me think. If you could do one of these three things,
okay,
but yeah, put them in order. Sorry. If you do these three things and put them in order, what would they be? Okay. Ride a bike across the world. Okay. Dive off of a diving board with a partner. All right. Or slip and fall into a dessert.
Or slip and fall into a dessert? Boy, let me see here. Well, I don't have any shame. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh my God, did somebody just see me do that? So I don't think I'd mind slip and fall into a dessert, but
let me tell you the whole dessert thing. Let me expound.
Now that I've told you that it's not going to bother me, now you got to one up.
No. Okay. I want to explain it to you because there's a spot in Las Vegas that they have where you can dive into this maybe.
Oh, like a giant.
There you go.
Okay. Like Nickelodeon stuff.
There you go. Okay. I want to make sure that was clear.
Okay, so I'm going to say ride a bike across the United States. I'm going to do that first.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that first. Diving off of a diving board with somebody else. I guess that would be fun. It would be interesting. I guess I'll try that. And the third one would be to fall into the dessert.
Why is the dessert the third thing?
Because I don't want to get all sticky and nasty and stuff.
Okay, all right.
I want to deal with that.
All
right, Coach. I'm gonna play off of that. I'm gonna give you three. You got to put these in order of what you would do first, all the way down to third. So, wrestle an alligator.
Ooh. Last.
So wrestle an alligator.
That's easy.
Jump out of a plane with a parachute. Let me be specific. So wrestle an alligator. Jump out of a plane. And sing opera.
Wow.
I'm not going to go easy, I do.
Well, I think sing opera first because a lot of people don't understand opera. So whether it sounds good, bad, or different, a lot of people
have to be able to carry a note.
Right. And then to have a lot of people are tone deaf and they think, hey, man, it sounds good. Each his own, right? So I go that jump out of a plane with a parachute because you probably don't survive that. So you may break an ankle, break a leg, but you should survive that if your parachute opens.
Okay.
Obviously.
Okay.
There's an alligator. I don't think you can win. I think you die from that. So I think that the few people that survive fighting an alligator are the 2 or 3 people that's like on those shows. Like the other 97% dies.
I believe that. Well, I mean, you look at the guy that had backed a stingray into a corner and it stung him.
Yeah.
This is the stupid thing about it, though. He should have known this. They have like Christmas tree tails, so he pulled it out of him, so he ripped his arteries. If he had left it in, he probably could have lived. You would think that he would know that.
Wow.
Steve Irwin.
Yeah.
Irwin. Whatever his name.
Yeah. I wouldn't know that either. I would have put it out too. So.
I don't think you would have backed the Stingray into a corner, though.
There's no question. I agree.
All right, so what do you got for me now? Thank you. What's your next one for me?
Oh, it's my turn?
It's your turn.
Okay. As an athlete, would you rather win the Super Bowl or win an NBA championship? As an athlete.
Oh, without question, I want to win the Super Bowl. Because the NBA to me it feels rigged sometimes. So
wow.
It feels rigged sometimes. But no, I would definitely want to win a Super Bowl because it is so hard. When you look at Golden State gets back all the time, LeBron James gets back all the time, the Bulls got back all the time. So the Celtics did it, the Lakers did it. It's so hard to get back to a Super Bowl after you do it once. So I would want to win a Super Bowl.
I got a last one. I want to go back to back. I'm going to give you, we play a little office game.
Okay.
All right. This is going to be interesting.
Does Cedric know about this game?
Yes, he definitely does.
Okay.
All right. Would you rather get punched in the jaw by Mike Tyson, or would you rather have a wrecking ball dropped on your foot?
Or have a wrecking ball dropped on my foot? You really play this game, Cedric?
Oh, yes, we do.
Like those two questions, or do they change?
No, they change.
Oh, they change. Is it always, would you rather get punched in the face by Mike Tyson, or? Is that what it usually is?
Mike's involved a lot, though.
It gets worse. Okay. So, let's see. Zach Galifianakis in The Hangover, he made it through get punched in the face by Mike Tyson. So, and Mike Tyson and I both like the song In the Air Tonight. So I would try to serenade him and beg him not to punch me because I would do the chorus line the way he wanted it.
Oh, no, he's going to punch you.
But I guess I'd let him punch me in the face. I don't want the wrecking ball. I can't come back from the foot injury. I might be able to come back from my concussion.
You can break your neck.
I could come back.
Wow, okay.
I would come back. All right, Q. I'm going to ask you one more, and then we're both going to have a final one after this. Okay. Fair? So I'm going to ask you this one, and then you'll have one and I'll have one. So this one I'm going to ask you. Who would play you in a movie and why?
I would probably have to go Martin Lawrence.
Martin Lawrence?
Yeah, I think of Martin Lawrence because I think that Martin is he's versatile. He's funny. He's athletic. He's witty. He's quick. And my players always say, "Hey, you always got to come back." So I guess I would think about Martin Lawrence.
All right, Martin Lawrence. That's fair. All right, what's your question?
My final question is: if you had to choose one thing to do in the next hour, what would it be?
Besides going to see a movie with Cedric. That's right. One thing to do in an hour. I could do anything? I do anything. Money's not an option. Okay. I would go to Italy. Italy or Spain, because now I have family in Italy and Spain. We have kind of traced our ancestry back that we may have family in Egypt. So because of where Italy hits, there was a little bit of crossover. So I'd want to go to all three, but if I had to choose, I think I would go to Italy since that was my first thought when I was a kid. Okay. I'd go to Italy.
That's cool.
All right, my final question for Coach Q is, how hard is it for you to rhyme your name with other words, and can you find other words to rhyme your name with?
Wow.
Cedric liked that one. I got a healthy nod on that one.
I don't know.
I got a couple.
Give them to me because I'm stuck.
You say Quentin was representing while I'm implementing my plan.
No, you're rapping.
You got a couple things there. Representing, implementing. I got a couple things. I can rap. We could do a little bit of that. I'm rhyming.
No, you're right. No, you got it.
Because I'm shortening the word a little bit.
I like that too.
What do you say? Quentin. Okay.
Yeah, that was a good one.
All right.
You stumped me on that one.
I got you on that one.
You did.
Okay.
You did.
We should do a thing where at the end of it, whoever wins.
No,
I get
because
to.
you just won.
I know, but it's like I
No.
get to take your name. Like I get to be Q. You got to be Dan for the week. You got to answer everything as Dan Tortora. You got to think about it that way. I get to be Q.
That'd be great on media day.
Take
right?
it. That'd be great on media day. Be like, Coach Q. Dan Tortora, please continue. But you got to have my personality. Now I will tell you this because I want to know. I know you said you took over a press conference before, as you should, because I would consider myself. I'm media by definition, but not by attitude, personality. I think you get that.
Okay.
I'm not your typical media.
I agree.
Okay. If you didn't, then it push you right off the story.
No,
So, but so I'm different. And in that difference, I have been in plenty of press conferences where I think a coach should take over because the level of treatment and disrespect sometimes is astronomical. So I want to close in saying that when you take something over and you got to kind of do, I mean, how hard is it? Because I would find, like, I would play with people. Like, do you ever play with the media a little bit? Do you ever try to go back and forth, be a little bit sarcastic? Because if I was a head coach and somebody asked me if I enjoy winning, I'm going to play with that a little bit.
Yeah, of course, because I think they ask you questions that kind of defies what the logic was. For instance, this is what always gets me at the end of the year. You know, how good do you think you're going to be? You know, how many games do you think you'll win? I'm going to win them all. Like, we're going to say we're going to be 22-11? Like, you can't say that, right? so that's the one. Or they say the obvious. You know, you got to rebound the ball better. I'll rebound it by 20, yeah? So stating the obvious and asking a question that has no logic. That's my pet peeve.
Yeah, like when you miss 12 free throws and the team loses by 10, logic tells you that if you had made those free throws, you would have won the game.
Yeah, probably
by 2. There you go. We're going to be talking about plenty more coming up with Coach Q as we continue here, January, February, March. Hopefully some April love if we can get the team there. We hope that we can. He believes he can win every game, and so does every coach, because or else why be a coach?
There's no question.
So Coach Q, Syracuse Orange women's basketball, myself, Dan Tortora, wake up call with Dan Tortora. We appreciate you watching on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, and we look forward to having Q back here at the Press Room Pub every month that we have coming up in the season. Thank you, Q. We appreciate you as always. Thank you.